What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics, and today we got a reaction to the top 10 Scottish artists, brought to us by friend, longtime supporter, patron of the channel, Richard. Thank you, Richard. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. If you'd like to support us anyway, check out that Patreon link below, the Patreon link on the Instagram. Couldn't do it without him. Richard's been with us for so long. We so appreciate the patrons. All right, really no background, obviously, right? To the top 10 Scottish artists. Richard knows what he speaks of. Let's start off at number 10 with the Fratellis. We got Star-Crossed Lovers from the In Your Own Sweet Time album in 2018. It's their fifth studio album. They're a Scottish rock band from Glasgow, formed in 2005. They consist of three unrelated members who perform under pseudonyms, kind of like the Ramones did, right? Lead vocalist and guitarist John Fratelli, bassist Barry Fratelli, and drummer Mince Fratelli. Their singles, Chelsea Dagger and Whistle for the Choir, were top 10 hits in the UK chart, 6 studio albums. If you haven't been on this before, the music won't be in the video because it'll get blocked. But it'll be at a Vimeo link below. Click on that. Follow along with this. I'll have the lyrics up as always. Thanks again, Richard. All right, the Fratellis, Richard's number 10 top Scottish act. I'll tell you what, man, that was fantastic. I super enjoyed it. I thought Mince Fratelli on the drums was really a standout, but man, that was good. The only part I didn't like about that song was that it ended. I just love the soundscape, the string effect. It was just really, really pleasant on the ears. If that's number 10, that's going to be hard to top, I think, by 9 more artists, but we will see. Next up at number 9, we got Katie Tunstall, The Other Side of the World from the Eye to the Telescope album in 2004. She won the Brit Award for the Best British Female Artist and the European Borders Breakers Award, both in 2006. The single Black Horse and the Cherry Tree, I know that song, was given the Q Magazine Award for the Best Track in 2005, and Suddenly I See won the Novello Award for Best Song in 2006. She's written music and songs for many film soundtracks. She's released 7 studio albums. This song, interesting because it's the opening track on her debut album, the second single, and became her first top 20 hit in the UK charts, peaking at number 13. All right, Katie Tunstall, such a well-done song. She sounds fantastic. The first song you would hear, right, if you bought her debut album. I always think that holds some gravity, right? What did they choose to be the first song in the sequencing of their very first album? This is a really good choice. I think it's about long-distance relationships and how difficult those are. My wife and I were in one of those, but, you know, for about 8 months, but we made it work, obviously, because we're still married and been together like 29 years. But those are tough, man. Those are tough, but just so smooth. I really enjoyed that. Next up, we got Idlewild and their American English song from the Remote Part in 2002. Idlewild are a Scottish rock band formed in Edinburgh in 1995. The lineup consists of Roddy Woomble on lead vocals, Rod Jones on guitar and backing vocals, Colin Newton on drums, Andrew Mitchell on bass, and Luciano Rossi on keyboards. To date, they've released 9 full studio albums. Initially, their sound was faster and more dissonant than many of their 1990s indie rock contemporaries. However, it developed over time from an edgy and angular sound, as heard in their early material, once described by NME as, quote, the sound of a flight of stairs falling down a flight of stairs, to sweeping melodic rock sound as displayed on the Remote Part and Warning Promises. I actually did a reaction to one of their albums, 100 Broken Windows, for another one of our patrons, Ian, that I super enjoyed. Idlewild, and if you maybe choose one word to describe this, it would be melodic for sure. A really good song, American English. I think it's like a 2-part thing, right? It's talking about how we identify with songs, because that's where this whole, you know, repeating, so sing a song about myself, keep singing a song about myself, not some invisible world. Something how we connect with songs, right? And the lyrics of songs. But it also tells you don't be chasing things, right? At first he says, I don't know if you're young or if you're old, right? And then he finally goes, I think you're young. I think you're young without youth is actually what he says. Then you contract the American dream. You'll never look up once, and you've contracted American dreams. I require you to stop and look up, because the American dream, so to speak, and I live in the United States, so is, you know, basically grow up, get rich, have a house, have all the material things you want. And that's all just, I mean, it's all chasing something that it's an illusion, man. And so I think he's telling the young person, be careful about that. You can identify with these people in those songs, but you don't necessarily want to be them. All right, next up, we got Mike Oldfield, but he's featuring Maggie Riley, Moonlight Shadow. This is a song from Crisis in 1983. Richard says, English artist in Mike, but a Scottish vocalist. So pay attention to that. We know that Mike Oldfield is not Scottish, but we've got Maggie Riley on here. It's written and performed by Mike. Released as a single in May of 1993. The performance on the vocals with Maggie Riley, who collaborated with Mike since 1980. It is Mike's most successful single, reaching number 1 on numerous charts in Europe and 4 in the UK. It has been suggested that the lyrics of the song are a reference to the murder of John Lennon, despite the fact that the events in the song do not correspond with those of Lennon's murder. Lennon was shot just before 11 p.m., whereas in the song, the time is 4 a.m. Also, the night Lennon was shot, December 8th, 1980, was a new moon, so there was no moonlight. And in the song, it's Saturday night, while Lennon was killed on a Monday night. When asked whether Moonlight Shadow is a reference to Lennon's murder in 1995 interviews, quite many years later, Oldfield responded, "Not really. Well, perhaps when I look back on it, maybe it was. I actually arrived in New York that awful evening when he was shot, and I was staying at the Virgin Records house in Perry Street, which is just a few blocks down from the Dakota building where it happened. So it probably sank into my subconscious. It was originally inspired by a film I loved, Houdini, starring Tony Curtis, which is about attempts to contact Houdini after he died through spiritualism. It was originally a song influenced by that, but a lot of other things must have crept in there without me realizing it. So just thought that was interesting background to this thing." All right, Moonlight Shadow, Mike Oldfield, but more importantly, featuring Maggie Riley. Her vocals were fantastic. Great arrangement there. I'm not going to go into what the song's about. We already talked about it. Someone's passed away that they wish they hadn't, and they hope that they're going to see him on the other side, is basically what Maggie's getting to. But very pleasant arrangement. Her voice is fantastic. So good number 7. Next up at number 6, we have the Proclaimers, Sunshine on Leith, from the same album of the same name in 1988. Second single, 41 in the UK. It's played frequently at Easter Road Stadium by Edinburgh-based football team Hibernian FC. If I pronounce some of these wrong, don't kill me, folks. I'm sorry. Of whom the band are supporters. In June 2018, it was voted the UK's favorite football anthem as part of the Football Anthems World Cup on BBC Radio 6. So I thought that was interesting. Look, I only know the Proclaimers for one song, right? That's all that was a hit here in the US. I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles, right? And that song, while it's iconic and great, I'd never want to hear that song again. But what happens is a band gets over like that just in one play, or in one song like over here, right? And then you judge the band like that for the entire time. I've come across so many bands that have such a great catalog that I only knew one song of that hit here in the States. So, yeah, looking forward to this one. Sunshine on Leith, not Lights, Sean. Come on, Leith, because it rhymes with chief. I hadn't looked at the lyrics, and I don't cheat and go ahead. I just bumble through the pronunciations, and then I'll fix it on the back end right here. Sunshine on Leith. Definitely different, obviously, from I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles. Great harmonies. Had a country feel to it. Sounded like a lap pedal steel guitar there. Just a different kind of song, but nice harmonies. Really well done. And now, got to change my opinion of now. I don't know what the Proclaimers are, right? Because those are such different songs on the same album. All right, we'll kick off the top half of this list at number 5, the Jesus and Mary Chain. We're going to listen to April Skies from Darklands in 1987, their second studio album. Jesus and Mary Chain are a Scottish alternative rock band formed in 1983. The band revolves around the songwriting partnership of brothers Jim and William Reed, who are the two founders and only consistent members of the band since its formation. They're recognized as key figures in the development of the shoegaze and noise pop subgenres. They recorded 12 top 40 singles, 2 top 10 hits on the UK chart throughout their career, 7 studio albums. This was the lead single from the album, went to 8 in the UK, 6 in Ireland, 16 in New Zealand, making it the band's highest charting single in all 3 countries. I know a little bit of the Jesus and Mary Chain. I actually don't know this song, believe it or not. I've listened to one of their albums, and the stuff of theirs that I really like. Okay, April Skies. I know it was their biggest hit in the countries that I mentioned. I mean, obviously it wasn't a hit here in the US, or I would have heard it in 1987 because I was like heavy into music at that time. I was 15, 16 years old. I love the sound. I love the voice. I love the guitar work. This is just the kind of, this is why there's a song there's called Just Like Honey that I think is one of my probably top 50 favorite songs of all time. But this is why I like the Jesus and Mary Chain. It's a great choice for number 5. Next up, number 4, we have Amy McDonald. This is live from the album of the same name in 2007. Her debut studio album. She sold over 12 million records worldwide and she released 5 studio albums. I've never even heard of her. It became her most successful single to date, topping 8 European singles charts and reaching the top 10 on 9 other European music charts. Conversely, the song did not match the success of Mr. Rock and Roll in the UK, stalling at number 28 on the UK singles chart. It was used in a 2010 advert for the Fiat 500 shown across Europe. It was also used in a Norwegian advert in early 2011 and re-entered the country's official chart at number 1. We come across more things that are used in commercials that just vault up, and especially seems that way across the pond. It doesn't happen as much here in the US, but always a cool thing. Amy McDonald, this is the life. Fantastic driving guitar in the right. Sometimes it sounded like it was finger picking guitar, and really stuck in your head. It moved so fast. I mean, it's only a 3-minute song, by the way. the chorus and just kept going through. Her cadence was quickly. And I also enjoyed, you could hear the Scottish accent, and I thought that was very cool too. Sometimes you can't, and really in most of these other songs, you can't, but because of the style and the dialed back way. The story of the song is, I mean, they went out partying, right? They went out partying, and it says on a little bit of the research I did that she wrote it. It was inspired by a get-together she attended after going to Pete Doherty's first solo concert after leaving the Libertines. After the show, she and some friends went back to someone's house and just sat passing the guitar around, singing songs. And you kind of get that in the start of the chorus, right? And you're singing the songs thinking this is the life, and you wake up in the morning and your head feels twice the size. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? Where are you going to sleep tonight? Like they're hungover, right? Hungover. So really good. I'm going to check out a little more Amy McDonald. All right, next up at number 3, we got another artist I've never heard of. We got Twin Atlantic, sung Heart and Soul off The Great Divide in 2014. Twin Atlantic are a Scottish alternative rock band from Glasgow. The group currently consists of Sam McTrusty on lead vocals and rhythm guitar. What a name, I like that. Ross McNay on bass. Lead guitarist Barry McKenna departed from the band in 2019, but continues to perform with them at their live shows. Craig Neal on drums decided to step back from the band in September of 2021. Now, obviously, that's after this, but I'd just like to give the band's history. At least 6 studio albums. This was written by lead singer Sam McTrusty and co-written and produced by Jackknife Lee. Released as a lead single, went to 17 in the UK, their highest so far there, and 4 on the Scottish singles chart. They started recording the song in May of 2013. It took almost a year to record, as they were not content with the initial writing process. Sam McTrusty flew out to Los Angeles to collaborate on the process with Jackknife Lee, and the rest of the band joined them at a later date. Lee had previously produced tracks for bands including R.E.M. and U2. Sam told the Daily Record, "It was exactly what we needed, and as soon as we got there, the weight was lifted off. We realized this is how we were supposed to sound the last few years. We just couldn't get there because it's amazing how many artists you come across where they just needed the right producer, right? The right person to come in, the right voice in their ear to kind of show them what they can't see for themselves, because sometimes you're just too close to the situation." All right, first off, the production on this song is fantastic. It's a really, really good song that kind of defies a genre to a little, especially the way it starts and a little bit there in the middle. Like, it's just really, really good. Sam sounds fantastic, but the melody on this song just sticks in your head. But very pumped up production, right? Very amped up. It sounds crisp and clear and just really, really well done. So, yeah, man. I wonder what their sound sounded like before that, and if they kind of adopted this from there on in. I'm going to have to go back and do a little bit of investigating. So like I said, I never heard of them, but Twin Atlantic. Let's go. Next up at number 2, we got Simple Minds. Belfast Child is the song. Now, Simple Minds is a little bit like the Proclaimers, but not quite. I knew some more Simple Minds stuff. They had a couple other minor hits in America, of course, besides Don't You Forget About Me, obviously from the Breakfast Club. But I always enjoyed them. But they're a Scottish rock band formed in Glasgow all the way back in 1977. They released a string of hit singles, and best known internationally, as I mentioned, for Don't You Forget About Me in 1985, which went to number 1 in the U.S. They've achieved 24 top 40 singles in the UK, including 8 top 10 and 1 number 1, and 26 albums on the UK album charts, including 22 top 40 albums, 12 top 10 albums, 5 number 1 albums. They've sold more than 60 million albums worldwide and were the most commercially successful Scottish band of the 1980s. 2014, they were awarded the Q Inspiration Award for their contribution to the music industry and a Novella Award in 2016 for Outstanding Song Collection. So those are high praise. The nucleus of Simple Minds consists of 2 remaining original members. Of course, Jim Kerr on vocals and Charlie Burchill on electric and acoustic guitars, occasional keyboards after 1990, saxophone and violin. I'm not even going to all their other former and current members. This song first released as a lead track on the Ballad of the Streets EP in February of 1989. It reached number 1 on the UK singles chart, as well as in Ireland and the Netherlands. It became a top 10 hit in Belgium, New Zealand, Norway, Spain, Switzerland, and West Germany. Back when West Germany existed. Barely existed at that point in 89, but the song uses the music from the Irish folk song She Moved Through the Fair, but it's completely different words. I got a 5-star review from Q Magazine on this song. Belfast Child, such a powerful song. I love the way the song is arranged, right, with the slow build coming in, and Jim sounds fantastic, basically just a cappella almost. And then the song builds as the emotion builds of the lyricism. But then I like how they dial it back that last minute and a half and just take you back way down. And then Jim comes back in at the end, and I thought he might not come back in, but I thought that worked too. So I thought it just bookended so well. Such a great build. I mean, obviously it's about Belfast, and I'm not going to sit here and try to speak of my knowledge of Belfast. I don't have a lot of it. I know some of it, but I mean, I'm not from there, and all the difficulties and all the things. But Jim kind of talks about that. That's why he wrote it. And I think as the song progresses, you know, Belfast has got issues, but we're going to all come back. Eventually it'll be okay. But I think as the song progresses, I think it might be people who moved away and left there, but I think it might also be people who have passed away. You know, you're going to come back. But man, it's really well done. And here we go. The #1 artist on Top 10 Scottish Artists for my man Richard. We got Deacon Blue. We're going to go with Real Gone Kid from the When the World Knows Your Name album in 1989, the year I graduated from high school. Second studio album. Deacon Blue is a Scottish pop rock band formed in Glasgow during 1985. The lineup consists of vocalist Ricky Ross and Lorraine McIntosh, keyboard player James Prine, and drummer Dougie Van Viepont. They have sold 7 million albums with 12 UK top 40 singles, along with 2 #1 albums in the UK, 10 studio albums. This song was written by vocalist Ricky Ross about a performance he saw of ex-Lone Justice singer Maria McKee, who I only know from a song she did on the Days of Thunder soundtrack, during a time when Deacon Blue and Lone Justice toured together. The lyrics are a tribute to McKee, with the narrator using the term Real Gone Kid as a designation for craziness, referring to Maria's wild onstage performance style. The song was the band's first top 10 hit, reaching 8 in the UK, 10 in Ireland, and 5 in New Zealand. In Spain, it peaked at #1 for 3 weeks. So, I mean, knowing only that one song from Maria, which is a dialed back song, that I've watched a video of her performing it live on another top 10 list. It might have been one of Richard's lists, I bet. But, you know, imagine her being this crazy persona. Maybe I got to go find that. All right, Deacon Blue, a band that I noticed a little bit of, but not much. Real Gone Kid, Deacon Blue coming in #1 on Richard's top 10 Scottish artists. I think on this one, the musicianship was really good. There's some catchy stuff. And I think the male-female dichotomy always works for me on songs, you know, when you have them, not a duet, right? When you have them in a band actually sharing vocals or coming in and supporting each other, I think that works really well. All right, now comes the tough part. It's very difficult on lists like this where Richard did a fantastic job, you know, and I don't know a ton of Scottish artists, and I didn't know a ton of these people, of picking so when you pick the top 10 of something, a lot of times it's all going to be pretty darn good, right? Not that all top 10s aren't good, but I mean, sometimes you can pick out the favorites pretty easy. This is a lot more difficult. I always talk about on these lists, these are the top 10 Scottish artists, but I'm only listening to one song. Now, it's kind of skewed, right? Because I know more of like Simple Minds and the Jesus and the Mary Chain, I guess would be the two that I know more of, but not a ton of. But that familiarity or being able to fill in the blanks, knowing these other songs. But I'll do my best here to pick the best artists. But honorable, and I mean, there's just a lot of them, right? Really, the whole list is good, so I hate to even pick people out. But honorable mention, we'll go Katie Tunstall. We'll go Idlewild, which I remember I did an album of theirs, so I know them one more. Amy McDonald, Twin Atlantic, Deacon Blue. Faves are going to be the Fratellis. That very first song was so good. The Jesus and Mary Chain and Simple Minds. And I told you I know more from those two. But, I mean, really, the whole list was good. I hated it to eliminate anybody, but I'm like, I really don't need 10 of these on here, probably. But I probably only need like 3, but I couldn't really narrow it down. So thank you to Richard for putting this fantastic list together. I'm curious what you think. How do you rank these? Who else would you have in here? Give Richard a shout out for tackling something like this, because this is very difficult. If you haven't already, give it a thumbs up. I super appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button. We got over 2,500 videos. You'll find something else you like on here. And until next time, guys, I will see you.